Hi, everyone. This is another conversation where we go deeper into the topics of leadership and well being. Priyaranjan Kumar, or Ranjan as I know him, is the VP and business head at Snapdeal. Earlier, he was the COO at iconic fashion groups. We know each other for many years and we finally took some time out for chatting. And I'm so glad to invite you for this conversation. We talk about why it's important to define your own view of success, the nitty gritties of fashion and retail industry, and some of his own professional tough moments. I definitely recommend that if you are in the sector of FMCG, retail, fashion, or overall in sales or business development, you must view this episode. I think you'll have a lot of takeaway and a lot of industry insights from this. And I also recommend you follow him on LinkedIn for his unvarnished stories of sales and retail. So let's dive in. Priyaranjan Kumar on I Feel Fine.
So let me basically start like saying when I say the word thrive, what do you understand by that? Like, what does it mean for you?
For me personally, you're asking, or from an organizational context?
No. Personally.
The first thing which comes to me when I hear the word thrive is growth.
Okay. What kind of growth? What else?
So growth is all encompassing for me, because if you are not growing, organization is not growing, and vice versa, organization is not growing, you are not growing. I'm saying that if there's no growth for individual as well as for an organization and vice versa, you can't be associated in a symbiotic relationship. So for me, thriving means that both parties are growing. So either you are growing, you may grow vertically, you may grow horizontally, you may go professionally, you may go personally. So I think it depends on which vectors of growth one is most comfortable and feels associated with. For some people, it may just be financial growth. For some people, it could be responsibilities growth. For some people, it could be skill set growth. So it depends. For organizations, it's very clear. For organizations, there's only one vector of growth, which is how fast they are growing in their business, how far they're expanding, how big they are becoming in terms of their market cap or whatever their primary metric is. So I think for me, net thrive is all about growth.
So then is it the same thing as success? Like when you hear the word success and thrive, or do you think there are differences?
See, thrive is growth and success is very, very subjective in nature. For me, success could mean something else. For my counterpart, let's say if I was running a business in one zone of India, for me, success could be something else. For somebody else, success could mean somebody else. For my manager, success could mean something else. For my DR, success would mean something else. While, growth more or less, puts a parameter to success, but otherwise, success is very, very subjective in nature. I may just be feeling successful with possibly, the kind of growth that I've achieved, the kind of numbers which I've done in the last 1 year or 2 years. That may be success for me. Somebody, may feel successful if they have added more skill set to themselves. Maybe if they are able to increase their market value, that would mean success for them. So I think success is very, very personal in nature. While thriving is all about growth, whether you are growing professionally, personally, on very, very fixed parameters, which are very, very objective in nature. So that's the difference which I see between success and growth.
And when you talked about this growth thing, and last 16 years, and when you talked about the professional journey, it seems like it was very diverse, right? There were like different industries and roles and, locations. Is there a particular phase which you thought you were at your best in terms of growth or thriving? It could be now, it could be earlier, but can you think of a moment or a phase or a duration where you felt you were thriving?
It depends. It again depends on how the person is. For me personally, I feel most comfortable in a situation where I'm given a boundary framework, and then I'm allowed to do whatever you want to do within that boundary framework.
Right.
Don't go beyond that. So nobody is nitpicking every day. Nobody is micromanaging me. Nobody is sitting on my head. I just love that kind of an environment to operate. Now, if I look at it, I found it twice in my career. And that's where, I was able to perform the best, and I was able to give maximum output. And I was able to, you can call the meaning of success. That's where I felt that I was extremely successful. While other stints probably gave me more in terms of other things, but this will be very close to my heart. So first was with Mars, because I was a third associate in the company, and they were just setting up business. So there was one guy who I was reporting to him, and there was one financial controller. That's it. I was the third person.
Oh.
So everything had to be started from scratch. Like, I sold chocolate boxes from my own car in Delhi when we opened up sales in Delhi. So that was success for me. I felt extremely successful when I appointed the first distributor. I felt extremely successful when I reached a weighted distribution of 50% in Delhi NCR. So I felt extremely successful when I hired 100 feet on street over 3-year period. And when I was leaving the organization, I was able to get 16 of them within the payroll of the company as sales officers. So I think that was success for me. My second stint was when I was managing the business for East in Pantaloons, where I was given a mandate that you've got to expand this business, you've got to grow this business, do whatever it takes, but grow this business. And we're only going to question you after 1 year. We're not going to say anything in 1 year. And even we'll not question, even if you're doing well after 1 year, there's no point of questioning you. So again, I was operating very, very freely. I had a mandate, free mandate. It gave me a lot of flexibility in expanding, going to newer markets, doing a lot of consumer activations, which probably nobody had thought of in the retail industry. Many firsts in the business. I also learned a lot about Bengali culture, because East is primarily about Bengal, and the other states are also important, but about 60-70% of the business is all about Bengal and the industry that I was in. So I think these two stints, I can clearly mark out that I was happiest because nobody was micromanaging me, and I was given a framework to operate, and I delivered the outputs which were actually much beyond anybody could have expected in that time frame.
Would you also say these were the period your growth was the maximum? Not really.
Not so much in Mars, because Mars was a relatively flattish organization.
So growth in the sense, it doesn't have to be formal growth, but when you say that thriving is about growth, and these are the things which come to your mind.
Yeah, probably yes. From a skill set point of view, yes. Because I would again say that FMCG is a relatively easier business to manage. From after 10 years in FMCG, when I got into fashion retail, fashion retail is a very, very complex business.
Is it?
Very, very complex business.
Oh.
See the top that you are wearing, the sleeveless top which you are wearing in let's say medium size, you would have maybe bought from a store in Bangkok. Then 2 roads, if you take 2 lanes and you go to another store, the same top will not sell there.
Oh.
Because if you look at FMCG, or if let's say you look at Unilever, how many brands of toothpaste will you have? 4, 5, 6? That's it. Fashion, it's not 4 or 5.
Yeah,
you will not
yeah.
be able to choose a garment if you are given only 4 options.
Thousands, yeah.
Whenever you go into a store, or when you are shopping online, you will at least browse through 50, 60, 70, to make one choice. Imagine what happens to the 49 which you have rejected.
By the way, this is your ex-employer's brand. Huh? This is Anant Sodhi from Bombay. It's a dress. Yeah.
Whatever. So I'm saying this. So fashion is very, very complicated.
Interesting.
A medium may fit you, but a medium may not fit you whose body structure or shape could be similar to you.
Yeah. Totally.
So every
colors,
body type is different.
Style, so many things.
You may like.
फिर भी हम crib करते हैं कि I don't have good clothes. After having so much of variety.
That's
new brands are coming in every day. Yes.
That's the complexity of this business. It's no complex in FMCG. You've got 5 brands or 5 brands को market करना है आपको. पेप्सोडेंट पता नहीं कितने सालों से 30-40 साल से चले जा रहे हैं पेप्सोडेंट, क्या फर्क है उसमें? क्या कर लोगे? थोड़ा कैंपेन नया कर लोगे, थोड़ा कलर्स चेंज कर लोगे, थोड़ा सा दैट्स इट. व्हाट एल्स कैन यू डू?
Correct.
And you can't make people brush 3 times in a day or 4 times in a day. वो 2 बार ही brush करेंगे ना, that's it. It's a very simple straight line business. Fashion is complicated.
Yeah, and it keeps changing. It's very dynamic.
Keeps changing. It depends on the season. अब ऐसा तो नहीं होगा in January you are going to brush 3 times, in June you are going to brush 4 times. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. But fashion, in January you will wear something different. June you are going to wear something different. Colors are going to be different. Spring you are going to wear something different. Autumn you are going to wear something different.
Interesting.
So when I was talking about fashion, so when I moved into this business, you know, it just hit me like, you know, what I got into, because I was not expecting this. And most people who get into fashion business and do well are Niftians. They have gone through a formal understanding of what is a garment, what is the technicality associated with the product. For me, I was coming like a newbie. I did not have any understanding about. For me, everything looked the same initially. I was not able to make any difference out of it. I'm looking from a consumer lens. No?
Correct, obviously.
Especially men. I mean, we will make choices within 1 out of 4 or 5. Women have an eye. You know, now I understand that why, women have an eye where they have to look at maybe 15, 20, 30, 40 options before they can make a choice of one. So if I'm assigned a category which I do buying and merchandising in my current role, now when I'm buying for a women's brand, I know that if I am buying for a tunic, I need to have at least 10 options. Then only it will be a decent enough presentation for a lady to pick up one tunic out of 10. Anything below 10, no chance. Nobody's going to buy it. So for me, you know, that how I was able to absorb it. The one skill which I learned really well and which has kept me in good stead in the last 5-6 years is the ability to learn things quickly, which I did not learn, which I was probably learning things at a Hindu rate of growth the first 10 years of my life. Last 6 years of my life, probably I have learned as much as it would have taken me 25 years to learn. So that's been my rate of growth in terms of learning. So one skill which I have probably done really well and can say that I've mastered it a bit is how would I learn things quickly. So now it's given me the confidence. Put me anywhere, put me any industry, put me any part of the world, any geography, doesn't matter.
You'll grow.
Learn it quickly.
You'll thrive. So what maybe top 2 or 3 things which you can advise for learning quickly? What works for you?
Keep it simple. You know, you look at any difficult task or difficult objective. You know, ultimately it's all done commonsensically. If it's not a very technical thing, probably one profession you can talk about is the medical profession, or maybe something associated with defense, or you know, little more mechanical part which are very technical in nature. But apart from that, you have to
everything
just
is about
everything is about common sense. And can you when I'm looking at something, when I'm making somebody understand about my business or what I want to do, how I'm putting it across is I make it very simple, that I assume that the other person doesn't know anything about this business. How will I explain my idea to somebody who doesn't know anything about it in, let's say, less than 5 minutes?
Like that YouTube, I understood what you were trying to say, and I'm very far removed from these things. You know,
that's what I have learned in the last 6 years is that anything, if I'm able to explain to somebody who's reading it for the first time or watching it for the first time, if they are able to understand it, that's my success.
Correct.
And I keep my videos below 5 minutes because I know that's the attention span. That's also I've learned. Anything long, maybe, and you will see it, attention spans have gone down. So 10 years back, the movies used to be 2.5 hours. Now movies are also 1 hour 50 minutes, 1 hour 45 minutes is the sweet spot.
So, okay, so this quality helped you, ability to learn quickly. What else, if we just take that as an example, what else helped you grow or thrive at a much faster pace than usual? Was it something in your environment? You shared about, not being empowered. Basically, you shared about being empowered, nobody sort of micromanaging. What are some of the other things in these phases which you felt contributed to your growth? Intrinsic
See,
or extrinsic?
I think the first 10 years when I was in FMCG, you are two steps behind behind the consumer. So you're not speaking to the consumer directly. The retailer is speaking to the consumer. So
Right.
you are only at best speaking to the retailer, or you are interacting with the distributor. That's it. The uh, the job of the interaction with the consumer in FMCG business is with the marketing guys. They are the people who are doing those dipsticks and focus group discussions, etc. Sales people, any which ways, have got no role with the consumer. When I came into fashion or when I came into retail, I had to interact with the consumer. So I think that kind of an opportunity was something which I was looking forward to. Probably in my nature, in myself, I thought that was something which was really lacking in the first 10 years, and some people get bogged down by it. I just got excited by it.
Motivated.
That this is a great opportunity of having an interaction with the end consumer in this business. No other business is going to give you, no other industry gives you. So, and I was like, it was a match made for me. That I just loved it, and I still love it. How I can interact with people, how I can understand what they're thinking, and nothing gives me a bigger high than I've designed something and the consumers have liked. And plus, the nature of the person I am in, I really like things to happen very, very quickly. And the retail is this: you decide to do something now, you will see the result in the next 15 minutes. 15 minutes, you'll see it. FMCG will take 6 months to get us some kind of a result, because you're so far behind the guy who's buying your product. Here it's 15 minutes. I tell something that, okay, you execute this on the shop floor, 15 minutes, you'll see whether it's working or not.
Wow.
See, as I was in the first 12, 13 years of my career, I thought that work-life balance was a huge issue. Because you're working so hard, and you don't have time for family, you don't have time for other things in life. But the last 3 years, I realized that there's nothing called work-life balance, because you yourself are screwing up your work-life balance. If you can finish off things which normally take an hour, and if you're taking 3 hours to finish it off, it's you are responsible. If you are scheduling more meetings, you are responsible. If you are sending out 20 emails in a day, you are responsible. So I have made a general rule with my direct reports in the last 3 years is that you will not mark me as CC in any of the emails. If I'm marked as CC, I delete those emails. I don't even read those emails. I've told everybody that if you want a decision from me, please mark me in 2. And don't mark me with 10 other people. Send me that this is my problem, this is the decision that I'm expecting you to, whatever, you have to decide on something, or you need my approval, mark me at 2. The moment you mark me in CC, I'm going to delete the email. So I don't receive more than 15 emails in a day these days. In the last 3 years, I've not received more than 15 emails.
Oh my God, you deserve an award. You deserve an award.
If I don't receive more than 15 emails in a day, I freed up 1.5, 2 hours of my time.
So what was your thinking behind it? Some people, in India also there is a very बॉस को पता चलना चाहिए कि मैं क्या काम कर रहा हूँ टाइप्स
मैंने तो बता दिया था मैं अकेला नहीं मरूंगा मरेंगे तो सब मरेंगे.
What was the thinking behind it? Was it only time management? Was it something else? And how did your team
you get to learn. So you get to learn. So I got this from, I attended a training session which was done by the global CEO of Beiersdorf. And he took one session for all country heads And since India was divided into 4 parts, and for all Western, for all European countries, every zone of India is is a bigger country than the countries which they're heading.
Correct.
So all of us were there, and somebody asked him this question: that how do you manage your work-life balance? Job is such a big business. You have got so many market units across the world, etc. So he said that I have got 7 direct reports. So I have told them that you are entitled, or you have to send, or you can only send me 1 email a day. All those 7 people. Now you decide your priority. What do you want from me? So I will not see a second email coming from you. And if you happen to send it, then obviously I'll hold it against you when we are discussing your appraisal. So he said that I have done this in the last 4-5 years of my life, and now my inbox is clean because I don't receive more.
That I think this. So you don't, but do you encounter this belief in your peers around you? See, obviously now, as you are the head of the business, it also comes. It's harder at junior levels, right? It's harder if your manager does not believe in it. So yeah. So do you feel? Do you see? Do you see other people struggling with it?
No, see, it depends on your outlook. I think if you will keep bowing down to a mentality of, because my manager wants me to do it, your manager is not even seeing half of the stuff which you are writing in MCC, so it is immaterial. So it depends on your outlook, and as a manager, as a leader of the business or my unit, it is my responsibility to how do I lessen the electronic burden of my team. So I'm always speaking about that I should not be a part of more than 5 WhatsApp groups. I'm not on my company, on my business. I'm not part of more than 5 WhatsApp groups. That's my limit. Now I have to decide which 5 I will be a part of. Anybody who adds me in, I just leave the group. I exit the group. So it depends on your priorities, how you want to run your life and run your official life. And if you don't decide, if you don't run the day is going to run you. So it's very, very simple.
Yeah. Totally.
So you got to decide, and if you don't decide, then probably you keep doing and keep complaining. There's no work-life balance. I'm working for 12 hours in a day.
I don't hear a lot of business heads talking like this. So it's very refreshing to hear, especially from someone who's been across many industries and all of that. So I think that is pretty cool. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this, because I think a lot of people think that growth and success has to come at the cost of well-being, however you define well-being. It could be spending time on your own, it could be playing golf, it could be, I don't know, making video, whatever. So that's really refreshing to hear.
That's the old school of thought. That's the old school of thought, that now success or growth, whatever, has to come, and it's going to impede on some other part of your life.
Yeah.
That's pretty old school of thought now. If you are doing something like this, you are inefficient. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything from so we talked about your periods of growth. Can you think of a period where you felt it was the opposite? So you felt you were like not growing, or you were not happy because you were not growing, or, those kind of stints. Did you have any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of them in luckily the first 5 years of my career. But I mean, first 5 years, I would say you're just growing up, you're just learning how to walk. So first 5 years doesn't matter in your career. It's the 6th year onwards, when you've got some sense of where you are, that's what starts to matter. So I think the stint which I had with Biostop, the stint which I had with Nivea, I think that's where I was not comfortable somehow. From day one, I was not comfortable. I was managing well, but it was somewhere you're not feeling good about yourself. Every day you're waking up and it's a liability. So those 2 years probably, yes, was the time where I was just not feeling, for lack of any other word, comfortable or at peace with myself.
But on hindsight, do you now know why you were feeling like that? Or why do you think what was it about? Is it the company? Is it the role? Is it the people around you? Is it your boss? Or is it maybe your life stage,
So probably uh, it was not somebody else. It was about me. Uh, so if I analyze it right now, I was managing a business in South, and Nivea as a product, as a brand, is identified with that blue tin, which is a cream. Now that as a brand, since it's associated with that blue tin, it's more a winter-led product. So you have lip balms, body lotions, cream, etc., etc. When I was managing a business in South, so South doesn't see winter. So
yeah,
you
exactly.
have either hot, hotter, hottest. You do not
It's a
have
very
winter.
North India cream, I feel.
It's a very North India brand. It's a North India brand, North, East, West, but
Yeah.
it's very anti-South.
Yeah.
So when I reached there and I was given a mandate to turn around that business, I realized यार इनका तो आउटलुक ही साउथ का नहीं है. अब तुम कितनी भी कोशिश कर लो क्रीम बेचने की, यहाँ पे तमिलनाडु में लोग स्किन पे कोकोनट ऑयल लगाते हैं. अरे भाई नहीं हो सकता ना, वो केलॉग्स को 20 साल से इंडिया में कॉर्नफ्लेक्स बेचने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वो नहीं बेच सकता ना. यू कैन नॉट चेंज certain practices, certain mindsets of how the people are. Now women and men in South, in Tamil Nadu, they apply coconut oil. That's it. How can you convince them to apply a cream? Nobody has succeeded. How will you succeed? So then I realized that now if I think about it, I was not able to convince logically. I was not able to put my viewpoint in a coherent manner, coupled with a lot of data. If probably I would have been in that role now, I could have really turned around that business, because I would have been able to convince people very quickly that 300 kilometers from Belgaum, nobody knows who Arjun Rampal is. So if your brand ambassador is Arjun Rampal and Anushka Sharma, nobody knows who they are. You go to Kerala, you go to Tamil Nadu, go to Andhra Pradesh, go to Karnataka, they don't know. Maybe a little bit in Bangalore, little bit in Hyderabad, which is primarily a North Indian and West Indian crowd, all the so-called expats who are living there. Apart from that, nobody knows who these people are. So if your brand ambassador is Arjun Rampal, brand ambassador is Anushka Sharma, what brand association you will have? So if I was given an opportunity now to play that role, probably I would have, what I was not able to achieve in 2 years, I would have done it in 2 months, because it's how I've developed. As I told you, the ability to learn
better.
quickly, ability to learn very quickly. I would have done it much faster. Probably I was in that phase where I was growing at Hindu rate of growth in terms of my learning agility. Here, my learning agility,
Habits or routines, whether it's about work, and you talked about the email bit, which is quite cool, about, I don't know, morning routine or some things which you make sure you do, to stay in the right zone. Do you have anything like that which you particularly
it has to become a habit. So you get a habit, fall into a habit of waking up quickly, waking up very early. If you are not, if you don't do it, let's say for 3, 4, 5 days, seventh day, the individual, the body is going to tell you, don't wake up, don't get up now. You can still get up at 7 o'clock or 7:30. There's a little bit of an effort. So I think that's the first effort of when you can get up from your bed. And now it comes naturally.
So you're a
Otherwise,
morning person.
Now I've become a morning person. Otherwise, for a good part of first 12, 13 years, it was like wake up 7:30, 8 o'clock, then rush, eat something, and then you're 9 o'clock, you're ready to go to work. But now you're waking up at 6 o'clock, you get that additional bandwidth of 2 hours for yourself. Now you have 2 hours, you can read something in the morning, or work out, go for a run every day. So running is a passion now. So one thing which is
Nilab
which
is gone running now. Otherwise, I would have asked him to come and say hi. If he comes back, I think it'll be cool. If Alka
which
is
is now
there as well.
inculcated in the routine is that
Yeah.
every morning need to have a 5-kilometer run minimum and do a
Awesome.
10-kilometer on the weekends. So I think that's the routine. So now it is, if I don't run every day, I feel uncomfortable in the day. I feel something is missing. So
now
last
it's like a
3 days
habit.
there has been a lockdown. So now I'm getting a little fidgety. I'm not being able to go out. I'm not being able to go on the road and run. So I'm feeling a little fidgety. So and that's the routine. That's the routine I've scheduled. I've settled into.
Do you have, if I say leaders who thrive, who comes to your mind? Do you have any role models? Not role models, but when I say leaders who thrive, who comes to your mind?
See, what I've done last year, I've worked with about 14 to 15 people who have been my managers.
Okay.
In the last 16 years.
Yeah.
What I've tried to do is, I've tried to pick up 1 or 2 things which I'm never going to do in my life, what they do.
Okay.
So I have by design, taken out 13, 14 bad characters from my personality.
Okay.
So while retaining who I am as a person, I've taken out 15 bad things out. And each of them had their peculiarity where I found they are what nonsense. I was mighty pissed off with 1 or 2 of their habits or their ways of working, ways of thinking. If I'm getting so pissed off with this, I'm never going to do this.
Yeah.
So I do not have a role model. I do not have somebody who is, embodying perfection.
Yeah, not perfect, but but still, like if I were to in public figures or whatever, do you or even in personal, do you feel like not role model? Maybe I'm using the wrong word, but like somebody
I like
who's
different things about different people. I like different things about different people. So it is not that I'll have
it's
one
not
role
one
model.
person.
For example, I really used to like the leadership style of Dhoni when he was captaining India. But towards the latter half, I realized that it's very important for a person, a leader, to understand when you have hit your peak and when you want to move out. The time when he decided that he would just prolong his career, he lost all respect for him in my eyes. So that's not how you are. How as a leader, I mean, he would have done 100 right things. But so I picked up that thing that you need to know that point where you are not enjoying yourself and you are not adding any value. You are just in the system because of what you have done in the past. So you are living on your past successes and you're prolonging it in the current situation. So I thought that, okay, this is what I'm never going to do in my life. If I realize that I've reached the tipping point and I can no longer add any value to the system and I'm a spent force, you become, after in today's day and age, people talk a lot about these length of the service in particular organizations, right? A few years back, it used to be that if you've not worked, if not a stable career for 5 years or so, your CV is going to go into the bin. But my take on that is that when you're hiring somebody, you expect him to do things in 2 years, which the other guy who is replacing would have done in 5 years. So don't look at the duration, look at the impact which you are asking the guy to do. Now, if you are asking him to do stuff of 5 years in 2 years, after 2 years, this guy is going to be a spent force because he'll be bankrupt with ideas. Whatever he could do in 5 years, done in 2. Now, either you give him something else, and if you can't give him something else, then the person has to decide that, listen, I cannot add any other further value here. There has to be a fresher mind who has to come in, look at from a completely different pair of eyes, and I move on to something else where I look at something from a different lens, and I can add better value there. So I think that is what I look at different people differently. I've like so many people in India. I was a huge fan of Narendra Modi, but now I realize that it is to an extreme. The leadership style is to an extreme, whether you are at the top and there is nobody 5 steps down now. So you've not created a pipeline. You've not created leaders. You've not created leaders. You are becoming a cult figure. While it is good in some sense, but it is if you become a cult, then it's very difficult to understand what wrong you may do. Because if you become a cult, then everything is right. Every sin is like the best thing which has ever happened. So I think that's where the respect went away. So I thought that I will never do something like this where I feel that I'm reaching that stage when I'm becoming a cult figure for some people. When I'm becoming larger than life for some people. I have to stop there. So these are things which I've picked up from public figures and managers. Are a lot of things. I've worked with a lot of best minds in the industry, a lot of industry leaders who have been my managers, and I've tried to unlearn whatever I found it was irritating in their manners and their ways of working. That's what I've tried to do. So no role models, but amalgamation of so many bad things which I've tried to cut out from my character.
So you talked about how you've created this culture, right, of not CCing unnecessarily mails, blah, 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 all of those things. If you were to look back in your journey as junior manager, middle manager, what advice would you give them to take care of their work-life harmony or well-being, given the situation people are in? Like, could you have, what I want to delve into is, could you have taken those calls 10 years back or even 7 years back?
See, even it's difficult to say, recreate that hypothetical scenario. If I would have been able to take those calls. I surely would not have been able to take those calls if I go back 7 years. But with the state of mind which I am in currently, if in the same state of mind I would be transported 7 years back, I would be able to take those calls. Because
you don't think that would have compromised your growth?
Yeah, see, if somebody is good, no, these things don't matter. That's what I've realized. That's what the confidence which I have now, which probably I did not have 7 years back. 7 years back, I was fearful. You're fearful of your manager. Somebody may harm you. You have to be in the good books. You cannot have against stand. You have to, even if you think that something is going wrong, you will have to sugarcoat your feedback, or you will have to say it in a very, very polite and some kind of a roundabout manner. You cannot be very, very direct. But then I realize right now that if you're good, if you're conceptually clear, if your work ethic is good, if you work in a commonsensical approach, you have the ability to teach people, you have the ability to inspire people, doesn't matter. Yeah. If you have a point of view, then your manager may be lousy. He may just impact maybe a year or 6 months of your life, but then you'll not be able to do anything more than that. I speak my mind. If he doesn't like it, doesn't like it. I also know that we fracture the relationship, and there may be a point where we may have to decide, we may have to part ways. It's fine, because I know that my mandate is very, very
clear. You are good.
I have to make a business profitable, and I have to make a business profitable. I need to say something. Because I don't want to be in a situation where I did not say, because I had to lengthen my career here, and if the business doesn't become profitable because I was not able to take a certain decision at that point in time, what answer will I have? What will I give? So now I realize that if I'm able to create value for every stakeholder in the business, and I have a point of view, I'm here today because I have a point of view.
Of course.
If I did not have a point of view, I would not have.
They didn't need you.
What the strength which has helped me to come here is my point of view. And if I'm not confident about it today, and I won't speak my mind out, because probably to prolong my length of stay in a certain place, I'm not doing justice to myself more than anybody else. The challenge of leadership is, especially in organizations, is that you look at leadership at a very high level. So you look at leadership at a CEO level, at a COO level. Actually, real leadership is not there. Your real leadership is your junior management and your middle management. That's your real leadership. Because the CEO, for example, wants to execute something or wants to change the organization or whatever. They have big plans. Whom will they get executed?
Exactly. Get it. I totally align.
And the best leadership institute in the world, for example, is armed forces. There's no better leadership institute in the world apart from armed forces. And I watch a lot of videos. I hear a lot of these TED talks with these guys who are working, who have been ex-armed forces and were still serving. I get to hear one thing consistently is, the success of an armed force, of an army, air force, or anybody of any nation depends on your middle layer, on your frontline leaders,
Absolutely.
frontline managers. So, which in an organizational, in a corporate context, is your junior manager, is your middle
Managers.
manager. They are the real people who are leading. You are only managing Excel sheets and PowerPoints at the CEO level and the CEO level. What leadership will you do? Because the people whom you are supposedly leading and don't want to be led by you. The people who are reporting into the CEO, they don't want to be led by you because they themselves think to be bigger leaders than you. The real leadership is at the ground level where you have these frontline people, frontline salesmen, or whosoever they are. They have an aspirational to become like, they have an aspiration to be like you because they really like the way, and it's far more difficult to motivate people who are working at 10,000 rupees a month compared to people who are self-motivated because they will get 1 crore or 2 crore bonus every year.
Exactly.
And that's what I really liked one of the comments, one of the talks when he said that in army, you do not have any ESOPs, pay hikes, and increment cycles, where you can motivate people to lay down their lives. So they lay down
That
their life.
Raghu Raman.
Yes, it is Raghu Raman. So he said that, it is, you can't motivate them enough, with these things. They lay down their life because they are, they're listening to their commander. So their commander is, or the leader is the last word for them. So I really liked it. That if you look at an organizational context, now the 2% increment come hua, the person will start looking for a job. वहां तो नहीं होता ना, वहां तो 25,000 की नौकरी में हवलदार मरने के लिए तैयार है. 25,000 रुपए तो ऊपर चला के मिल जाते हैं इंडिया में. So that's real leadership.
Yeah.